Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
It is the Big Biz Show, live from the Loft 100 studios. Thank you, as always, for being along for this fine ride here in sunny Southern California. I'm Costa, that's Mary Godwin. Right there, the black shirt, Greg Todoroff. Right there's Captain Finance
longer
himself.
And longer. That's it, everybody. We'll see you in a second. Jeez. Are you still doing radio? Still doing sports radio?
No.
Really?
No, that ship sailed.
They chase you out, huh?
2020, no mas.
Is there any sports radio that like the old days?
Yeah, there's still a lot of it, but now here's your radio station, your television station,
right.
Your high-speed wire. That's Al Davis.
I was going to say, what's that on
your
your
phone?
Al Davis, owner of the Raiders.
Yeah. Greatest man ever next to Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Al, from whom all blessings flow.
We want to talk about the Raider game on Sunday?
Can we talk about there should be a website called shutupandact.com.
Okay.
Or shutupandsing.com. So George Clooney, right? George Clooney, pretty famous guy, handsome man.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the goofy John Travolta haircut when he was on Roseanne? What gives him credibility to say anything to anybody about anything?
He was on Roseanne?
Well, yeah.
Wasn't he on
I thought it was on Facts of Life. He was.
Facts of Life.
Gentlemen, this is when we get off track and start. Wasn't he in the Reynolds Wrap commercial? Listen, do you remember his goofy, his
Oh, yeah, he wasn't always as
Rosemary
good-looking as
Clooney
he
was his aunt. That's
yes.
And now he's so important that he can chime in on politics. I mean,
well, of course.
Robert De Niro, one of my favorite actors in the world, it chimes in. Like, how do you get you know where I'm going with this, right? Tay? You know where I'm going?
Oh, God. Let's talk about it.
Trailer?
I mean, look at, do you
I've
realize,
been waiting for that post to come out.
Well, do you realize that, like when Sting said in the documentary, he says, look, at some point you have so much money and so much fame, you're automatically political, which I believe. But is it an abuse of platform or footprint?
I agree, yeah.
Because, look, I respect Taylor Swift. I think she is the most influential entertainer probably in our time.
Did you hear that?
She is.
I agree with you. This guy likes to say otherwise.
You don't like Tay-Tay?
I don't. She's talented, yeah.
Okay, but
I'm done. Enough.
Wait a second, though. It's not just the four-chord music that she plays.
Right.
It's the enterprise. Like she.
Oh no, she's her own country.
She is, and it's
She's a smart woman.
But is it responsible? Just because people are listening to people ask me all the time, hey, I want you to sit down and talk about my portfolio. I don't do personal finance. I won't do it.
All she's saying is this is who I am backing.
But she knows what that's gonna do.
That's okay.
I don't know that that's responsible because suddenly you've got a bunch of fish out there that are not going to do any research. Like, what if she said I'm backing Donald Trump? Like, it's the same thing. Her listeners.
Celebrities come out and say who they want
I think that should be a felony. Honestly, shutupandact.com, shutupandsing.com.
Well, okay, you mentioned George Clooney, and yes, he was on Roseanne, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Did you just IMDb
he fact-checked him.
I did. I had to. But that's like because
doing the work, digging in, aren't you, Mike?
Yeah.
That's like he was on a show where he played a doctor. So I'm going to go to George Clooney because obviously he's got medical.
I just think that there's a responsibility, like the Brad Pitts of the world, to avoid it altogether because I think there's an undue influence when you don't know, you don't really know.
No.
No, I understand you have an opinion. I understand what your politics are. That's great. I just feel like if your footprint's big enough, there should be some sort of like you realize that Jim Cramer, who I know very well, they interviewed me and him for a show called Money Monster starring George Clooney at one point about the Big Biz Show and about Cramer's show. Cramer can't invest openly in stocks. Do you know why? Because he's considered a market maker. And the SEC says, you're not going to just talk about stuff on the air and all of a sudden the whole world follows you.
Right.
I think there needs to be a governor on some of this stuff. Then again, I'm suddenly communist. And
I love that idea. I love that idea. It's like, what did you say, shut up and dance or shut up and shut up?
No, I'd say tell you to shut up and dance when we're out on Fridays.
Please don't dance.
Shutupandsing.com, shutupandact.com.
No dance.
Shutupandshutup.com.
Hey, keep your mouth shut while you're talking to me.
They're playing Taylor Swift. I just want you all to know.
Oh, it's awesome.
There's three.
Your liver's in danger. But before we dive into why, let's take a look at what's going on inside your body every day. Picture this. You're having a night out with your friends. You all decide to go to the local pub for a few drinks and a nice juicy burger. As you sit down at your table, you feel a little drained from the day and a bit peckish. Your body needs some nourishment. The first round of beers comes and they go down smooth. Next up, the burger slides across the table, and with each bite you can feel yourself coming a little bit more to life. As you sit and eat and laugh with your friends, the once full plates and glasses become empty and you come back to life. Not the healthiest of meals, but filling for sure. You begin to wonder, how did that food give me energy? The answer is likely more fascinating than you can imagine. There's a factory inside you that weighs about 3 pounds and runs 24 hours a day. This is your liver, the heaviest organ in your body and one of the most crucial. This dynamic structure acts as a storehouse, a manufacturer, and a waste treatment site. It doesn't end there though. The liver, while also being one of the most versatile organs, is also one of the most resilient.
Now, the liver is an amazing organ. You can actually chop away 80% of a normal liver, and that little small piece will grow into a new liver. The liver has an amazing ability to tolerate insult after insult after insult.
A truly remarkable feat of evolution, which makes the next question so peculiar. Why is liver disease on the rise?
Dr. Thomas Schiano says he's seen a dramatic increase of alcohol-related liver disease in young adults.
The report shows obesity rates are on the rise.
A CDC report shows cases of hepatitis C and hepatitis A continue to rise in the U.S.
For all of this superorgan has in toughness and versatility, the nation and world's recent rise in liver disease is a very real threat, and the threat is only getting worse.
The number of people living with liver cancer is in over 500,000 patients. It's enormous.
Like, there's something very wrong with our environment when 2/3 of people are at risk for liver cancer.
Join us as our Bizumentary team travels around the country to speak with experts, patients, and medical pioneers as we explore the rising storm facing us all. This is the story of your liver's fight for survival. To start, we need to have a basic understanding of the liver itself. One of the liver's main functions is to filter the body's blood, which it receives from 2 sources. The hepatic artery delivers blood from the heart, while the hepatic portal vein brings it from the intestine. This double delivery fills the liver with nutrients that it then sorts, processes, and stores, with the help of thousands of tiny internal processing plants known as lobules. The blood that is received from the intestine contains carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and other nutrients dissolved in it from the food you've consumed, and convert them into sugars for the body to use as energy. However, the blood flowing into the liver isn't always full of good things. Both natural and man-made, we consume an untold amount of toxins and byproducts that the body simply has no use for, and the liver monitors these with extreme prejudice. When it spots a useless or toxic substance, it converts it into a product that can't hurt the body or isolates it and sends it through the kidneys and intestine to be expelled. It's not just an organ. It's a multitasking powerhouse that processes everything you consume, turns it into energy, stores nutrients for future use, and filters out toxins. Without it, life as you know it would come to a stuttering halt. But despite its resilience, the liver isn't invincible. There's a growing threat that's becoming impossible to ignore: liver cancer. Our team set out to talk to the nation's top minds on the subject. We found ourselves talking to members from both the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, and Johns Hopkins University to help us understand the threat.
So when we talk about liver cancer, basically all it describes, there's a cancer in the liver. There's 2 different types. There is an hepatocellular carcinoma, which is arising from hepatocytes, from liver cells. That's by far the majority of primary liver cancers. And then there's a second type, which is called a cholangiocarcinoma, which is arising from biliary cells, because remember, the liver is actually also producing the bile.
You know, a lot of people thought it was a little weird that I would go into liver cancer because at the time, the most common cause of liver cancer was viral hepatitis. And there were all these drugs coming that were going to get rid of hepatitis C, the most common cause of hepatitis, which leads to liver cancer. And so a lot of people thought that this disease might actually go away or at least be reduced greatly. And actually, we've seen the exact opposite. This is the fastest growing cause of cancer death in the United States.
Worldwide, there's more than 700,000 people that die per year. And in the United States, liver cancer ranks among the top 10 killers, both in men and in women, although we know that men are more commonly affected than women.
HCC liver cancer kills just under 1 million people a year. A more accurate and sobering figure would be about 16 deaths every 10 minutes. And the trend is rising. However, liver cancer, like any other disease, has to start somewhere.
So there's sort of a stepwise process. So anything that damages the liver can cause cirrhosis, which is scarring of the liver. And then out of that scarred, abnormal liver comes liver cancer. So it's sort of a stepwise process from normal liver to fibrosis to cirrhosis to liver cancer.
Hepatitis C and hepatitis B infection, as well as chronic alcohol use.
Daily alcohol usually, or obesity.
And now in the Western world, fatty liver disease and obesity are increasing risk factors.
And obesity is really a silent killer because most people with obesity don't know that they have fatty liver disease, which is, again, the major risk factor for liver cancer.
What happens is that over time, there is the development of an hepatitis and the liver cirrhosis.
You know, what we're really talking about is chronic inflammation of the liver, not over a day or a week, but usually over years and years.
And that's really, you know, the major risk factor for developing an HCC.
This isn't just a personal health crisis, it's a societal one. The choices we make as a society, what we eat, how much we drink, how we handle stress, are catching up with us in ways that are contributing to this growing threat.
It takes a long time to get liver cancer. We're just starting to see a spike in liver cancer from the Great Recession, like 2007. So you can imagine people started drinking more during the pandemic. I can't even imagine what my clinic is going to look like in 10 years.
From virtual happy hours and quarantinis, many people have been drinking more during their time of isolation.
So this is the scary thing.
Despite the immense challenges liver cancer presents, there are treatments available. Yet for many patients, the harsh reality is that these treatments can be as brutal as the disease itself.
I watched myself grow more and more frail because of the malnutrition and because of the nausea.
Some patients have an ability to tolerate a lot more treatment than other patients, and that's usually determined by how healthy or unhealthy the underlying liver is.
So the three classical treatments we have are surgery, cut it out, gone, easy. Second one, radiation treatment. So you radiate this and you try to destroy the DNA in these two, in the whole field that is being irradiated. And then the one that we were just talking about, chemotherapy. What is chemotherapy doing? Chemotherapy is, yes, it's using chemicals that basically stop or kill rapidly progressing cells. These can be cancer cells, but we have other cells in our body. You know, we have hair that is growing, you know, we have blood cells that have to reproduce. And all these mechanisms, you know, are actually targeted when we talk about chemotherapy.
Throughout this journey, we've delved deep into the science behind liver cancer, exploring the relentless challenges it presents and the treatments that, while necessary, often come at a high cost. But understanding the full picture requires more than just the science. It demands insight from those at the forefront of innovation. In addition to speaking with leading experts in the public sector, we had the opportunity to hear from some of the top minds in the private sector. Those who are not only observing the battle against liver cancer, but actively working to change its course.
Right, it's called targeted therapy. Is that those cancer cells and all those are cells in your body that have gone ballistic, right, and are dividing in a way that is not appropriate. There are these molecular targets on them. They express something that you can identify, and you create a molecule to literally go there, hit that target, and make that cancer cell die.
As we've uncovered the science, one truth remains undeniable. This battle is not just fought in labs and clinics. but in the lives of those who face this disease every day. In our next chapter, we'll step into the lives of these patients, hearing their stories of courage, resilience, and the harsh realities they face in the fight for survival. Their experiences will shed light on the true cost of this disease and the hope that drives them forward.
I don't know what you have going on in your lives, but don't give up.
And the game-changing innovations on the horizon.
People are waiting, right? They're waiting to see what 2024 is going to bring. They're waiting to see what the phase 3 is going to be, and they're waiting to see what else we're going to do with 1120 and our other programs.
Because the way it works doesn't cause hair loss, doesn't cause vomiting, doesn't cause diarrhea.
We would love to make a difference, a meaningful difference in patients' lives in the places we're focused.
Really, we're going to see that it helps people do better with their cancer, and it maintains how they feel and how they live at the same time.
Big Biz Show continues, bigbizshow.com. Mike Costa back next week with us, Barry Burt Godwin, Greg Todoroff, the Day Trader Trio, myself, I'm Sully. 125 million homes strong right here in the U.S. I have a confession for you.
Oh, I'm scared. I'm very scared right now.
We've had our good friend, I'm going to bring Kirk up right now. Kirk Huntsmen, of course, is the CEO of a company called Vivos Therapeutics, who has brought to us here on the program obstructive sleep apnea as something that we need to be paying attention to, and so much so that the network has wanted to put together really a documentary about this. And
Evan's working on it.
They're really the only guys that are going to be. They're the only people that are going to be on it, including some of their patients. But Mike Costa, who suffers from obstructive sleep apnea, decided to go into the dentist at the behest of Kirk, who's right there on the screen, and meet with the doctor about having his oral appliance installed and creating. So I get curious, okay, and I call Kirk. Kirk, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. And I said, hey, you know, I don't sleep well, but nobody's ever told me I snored, so I've never had a problem with, you know, and then he kicked me in the side of the head in the middle of the night in the past. But I'm just curious, I'm not a great sleeper, so I went down to this dentist.
You did?
And did a sleep study.
You did? You got the ring and did the whole thing?
Did the whole thing.
You did?
Turns out I should be dead by now.
No way.
Because I'm breathing through a cocktail straw about this big around, right, Kirk? Kirk's seen my stuff. So guess who got, so
Are you getting one too?
I'm getting one too, and I believe they get delivered here in the next couple of days. So Mike and I are starting the process. But I will tell you, so this is what I want to tell people. Because I don't own a CPAP machine. I think the people that have a CPAP machine are when their wives, I'm typically saying wives, yell at their husbands for making that sound in the middle of the night, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have that, yet I am a card-carrying sufferer of OSA. Kirk, that's the most interesting thing I took out of this thing, that all of those open-air indicators, or open-no-air indicators, I should say, weren't there with me, yet I'm one of your biggest candidates based upon the test.
You know, we are just now beginning to realize how pervasive this condition is amongst the American population. I mean, it's a worldwide phenomenon, right? There's 1 billion people around the world that have obstructive sleep apnea, but here in the United States, it's even more acute. I'll tell you a little story just to sort of reinforce what you just said there. I go to church with a couple of guys, one of them is a doctor, the other is just a retired guy, but both of them individually called me here in the last couple of weeks and said, hey, we heard what you do, and we're getting some pressure from the missus to get tested. So I did sleep tests on both these guys. One of them, moderate sleep apnea. The other one, though,
severe. That
the younger guy, 50 years old, in impeccable health otherwise, but he said, I don't have any energy, and I snore a lot. My wife is just, fed up with it. And the AHI of 63. We're talking about super severe sleep apnea. He's desaturated, his blood oxygen levels are down. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that needs to be, taken to the emergency room. And I just got those tests. And so people that don't even think that they, like you just said, you may not have all the signs and symptoms, or you may just kind of feel a little off. Get a sleep test. These things are easy.
Well, look,
simple.
I think that's the key there, because I want to implore everyone to go to Vivos.com. Go find a dentist on their website.
Just call us.
Or give them a call. But go get a sleep test. I think you should get a sleep test. I think everyone should.
I'll do it.
I think everyone should, because, like, for me, look, I was severely overweight, a victim of my own success 20 years ago, and still didn't snore. And you'd think that you look at some of the cases of people who die in the middle of the night because they forgot to put their CPAP machine on. I don't even own a CPAP machine. Yet, had I not met you, who knows? I mean, because Greg and I get more work done at 4:35 in the morning because both of us are up. I'm not sure, and I am finding myself wanting to fall asleep at 6, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. I mean, and because of the lack of sleep, that's what brought me.
So Kirk, that's what I was going to say, is what are the symptoms that people can kind of think about besides the snoring? Is it exhaustion? Is it, what are the different symptoms that people might present besides just snoring?
That's a great question. So I think the first thing that most people encounter is just sort of a lack of energy, right? They've lost their mojo. How they felt at 20 is not how they feel at 40, or how they felt at 20 is not how they feel at 30. And so the first thing that happens there is that I think snoring is obviously an indicator, and you need somebody else to probably tell you whether you snore or not. None of us believe we snore, right? And so mouth breathing, if there's some mouth breathing that goes on, again, somebody needs to tell you that. But if you have high blood pressure, if you're dealing with diabetes, if you're dealing with any of the downstream symptoms, cardiovascular disease, any type of AFib, all those things, if you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you have some form of chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, any of these kinds, you need to ask, do you think I might have sleep apnea? If your doctor isn't recommending that, then patients need to be proactive.
Yeah. It was intense. Remember when you were in studio and we had a pediatrician that would say, if your child is experiencing behavioral issues, or if your child's experiencing bedwetting at the age of 7 or 8 years old, those things. I mean, those are open air indicators for people to take a look at. But as adults, I mean, I'm looking at the most healthy guy in the room here, Greg Todoroff, and I'm thinking to myself, I know you don't snore. Your wife would have yelled at me and you at the same time about it. But I think it wouldn't hurt all of us to get a sleep test, because I will tell you, so I put this thing on, I did a 3-night, I visited the dentist on a Friday, did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, got it back to him on Monday. Next day I get things that, hey man.
No way.
Like I had a 29 or 30 score, which goes from high moderate to severe.
What's normal score?
Yeah. You're right there, borderline severe.
Yeah, and I don't know what that 29 represents. Is that how many times I wake per minute or something?
So what it is, that's called your apnea-hypopnea index. And what they do, and this is a little oversimplification, but what they essentially do is every time your airway closes and you have an apnea event, that's called an apnea. Your airway shuts down and you literally cannot take in air.
Yeah.
If that apnea event lasts at least 10 seconds, then it counts towards your apnea-hypopnea index. Now, they total those up through the course of an hour, average it out over the course of a night, and you get a score. If you're 30 or more, it's severe. Like this friend of mine came in at 63 one night and 64 another night. So this guy's having a he's got a very severe case of obstructive sleep apnea. And the worst thing is he's actually, his blood oxygen saturation levels are declining, and his heart rate is pumping faster to try to figure out how to get more of that oxygen level and keep it current, or keep it at the same level. So when you have at 29, 30, Sully, you're borderline severe, and it's time to take a look at this. People are shocked at what the scores come in at.
His name is Kirk Huntsmen, CEO of Vivos Therapeutics. VVOS is their ticker symbol, VVOS, Vivos.com. Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate it. We'll see you in studio here in a couple of weeks. He's going to come back into town. Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
You and Mike can wear your appliances together.
Yeah, we can. We can show it both times. You guys can get a sleep test. I'm serious.
I'm doing it.
I was so surprised. I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. Did you hear me count off 10 seconds?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Big Biz Show. See you in a minute. Hey, they're live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. 125 million TV homes strong in the U.S. Let's not forget El Financiero Bloomberg in Mexico, an American Forces network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. God bless our military men and women serving our country overseas underway. Big Biz Show is on the way. Great to see you today. Got Mary here. Got Greg here. I'm Sully. Greg, or what's his name?
Mike.
Costa?
Mike. Yeah.
Costa's back next week. And of course, we got the Day Trader Trio. Great to see you guys. Eduardo Garcia from the movie Charged, from the Magnolia Network television program, Big Sky Kitchen. Good friend of the program, chefaeduardo.com. He's got an unbelievable story about how he lost his left arm. And if you look at the movie Charged, you can watch that. And we've talked about it here on the program. But welcome to the program, man. You're in studio. You're live in San Diego, straight from the movie Yellowstone, or the TV Yellow. Is that offensive to Montanans, the program Yellowstone?
I can't speak for all of Montanans, and I'm an equal opportunity.
you.
Yeah, it's not offensive to me. I don't watch TV though. So.
But it's, in terms of Montanans become popular.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because of the exposure on television and movies.
It was a bit of a happy hour scenario. It had a show like the show Yellowstone that publicizes a certain dramatized element of that region, mixed with the COVID migration, everyone trying to go buy a piece of land, go homestead, go find a little piece of something. I realized early on that to just kvetch about it wouldn't get me that far.
So you just keep cooking.
I just invite people to come and just really be a part of bringing great culture.
So you have a food brand called Montana Mex, which is taking a bit of a breather because you are focusing on not only your very successful keynote speaking business and a book that's upcoming and your television program. And I saw the press release regarding the book. A working title for the book, and what's it going to be about? Can you bust it out here?
No working title as of yet. My publisher says it's in the atmosphere and it's slowly descending. I worked on yachts for 10 years, so I traveled the world cooking for everybody, from grandkids to the billionaire owner, whoever it was. And for me, I realized that food is this great conduit. And so it is a story-rich recipe book. The recipes are there. It should lead you into the kitchen with success, but the story connects both myself and others, I think, to how we're built.
So when I travel, first of all, I don't like to look like a tourist because the first thing I do is I go talk to the locals to find out where they go.
Right.
I think let's even take Cabo San Lucas, which is part of Mexico here, and we broadcast, as you know, from San Diego, California. Cabo San Lucas is highly, highly commercialized now. It's like Las Vegas of Mexico. However, there is a farm-to-table restaurant that still exists. It's been there forever down in San Jose del Cabo, where you have to park 400 yards away from the restaurant. You have to walk through and see where, as I always like to say about Eduardo, where they hunt it, kill it, cure it, clean it, serve it, whatever.
Amazing. Yeah.
And this is it's what you have termed as agritourism.
Correct.
And experiential agritourism is what your next project's going to be. What is it? And talk about how that works out.
I live in Southwest Montana, and so like Sully, you had mentioned the show Yellowstone, and hey Eduardo, what do you think about it? Are you up in arms? And there were already millions of people coming to my neck of the woods to experience Mother Nature and the boundless outdoors. Now there's tens of millions of people, and so I just see it as an opportunity zone to invite folks into the education of what it is to eat in terroir. So if anyone likes a good glass of wine, I don't need to tell you what Napa Valley is. I don't need to tell you what the Bordeaux region is. And yet Montana has been an agricultural breadbasket since the turn of the last century. And never exposed for the quality of the soil, the quality of the air. And so if you have millions of folks driving by, why not invite them to keep it simple, a burger and a milkshake, but it is going to be from the land.
It's a Disneyland for people that want to know where their food comes from, or people that want to know how to cook it, or people that just like to eat, or people that just are curious about environmental agritourism, correct?
Which is all class of people. If you're living and breathing, you're made of food.
Right.
And so you don't really need to go see a therapist. You can just come to the farm and scratch, sniff, understand, explore.
This is all right up your alley.
Well, I'm thinking of, when we talked earlier, you were talking about educating kids people about food, which I think is really important right now because, we're hearing all the time in the news of the processed foods that are being eaten. And we talk about clean eating, and I think I'm on the go all the time. I don't necessarily have time to think about that. I got to feed my kids quickly.
Right.
So, but what you're doing, educating people and empowering moms, kids, everyone to figure it out and learn more, right?
And learn more and make the conscious capital-rich decision to start purchasing where we want the change to be.
Yeah.
You can listen. I right now politics are a hot topic, so I need to go there. And yet I want to use this moment in time to punctuate the absolute agency we each have, and everyone listening. Be the change.
Well, so here,
buy that change.
So I want to say
Purchase it.
something here. But what is topical still, and probably more than ever, is anti-ageism. Okay, clean eating and clean living.
Yes.
Okay, there are more folks in the history of this country that have stopped drinking than started drinking in the last 18 months of our history. Now, what does that tell you? Whether it's because we're more concerned about disease, the incidence of high blood pressure or heart disease are higher than ever. But what you're basically doing is you're feeding into this. Well, you guys want to hear about it? You want to know how it's done? I mean, I think there was a scene in a movie. I can't remember what it was, but some cop said to somebody, they pulled over and said, "Look, I know where you're from, and I'm going to give you a break here because I know you're from this area, and we know what it takes to put a steak on the table in this part of the country. So guess what? We're going to let you go. We need to know what it takes to put a radish on a salad. We need it, right?"
1000%. And I would largely say that connecting the story to your next bite of food will be the most memorable experience you have in how you are alive today. Just capitalizing the experience of living by purchasing a meal, eating a meal.
Or as you say, squeezing the lime, then smelling your fingers.
Yeah, like
when you eat a fish taco.
Absolutely. Tearing basil off of,
I just started doing that, to be honest, and it's my favorite.
This reaction is what I'm
I
talking
just started
about.
buying the fresh basil and doing it with my kids, and I'm thinking I only have 2 more years with them in the house, and we're starting to have these dinners at home, and to have those moments, and then I love it. But I need to learn a lot more.
For me and Greg, it's about this. For me and Greg, it's about.
Yep.
It's that sound. It's that.
More
sound.
kettlebell? What is that?
Yeah. those are ice cubes clinking into a tequila glass.
Got it, but I like that too. And I'll just say though, tequila, listen, let's go for the spirits.
Yes.
And yet, if you're going to go for the spirits, plug the spirit back in. Like, be soulful, be conscious, and be reciprocal in the process. So you can't squeeze soil forever.
Yep.
But
You have to feed it.
But guess what? As you said off the air with me today, that it all, regardless of what happens politically, what happens in the world, we're still going to be left with the soil.
1,000%.
And we got to eat, and you got to eat.
We will go back into it.
Yeah.
And so make the bed you want to sleep in.
Wow. Let's go back to the cookbook. Give us an idea of what that new cookbook's going to be.
It will start without mention of seasoning and flavor and method. It will have more to do in the beginning points of every recipe with what the birds were doing that day. If you're a surfer, put it in context, we're in San Diego, when you start seeing that southern swell come in, you know what season it is. When you start seeing the winds shift offshore, you know what season it is. Same for me. I'll hear the American robin show up and I know it's spring. I'll hear or see a different bud pop out of the ground and I know what time of year it is. It's that type of relationship makes my experience with food richer, well beyond flavor. And that's what the book will do.
And I think that brings us to your multiple Emmy, we had 5 or 6 Emmy nominations for Big Sky Kitchen, where you basically hosted a live cooking workshop series. Talk about that show if people haven't seen it. It's on the Magnolia Network. And I don't have a problem talking about it on our network because it's a great show. And
I'm so proud of that.
I mean, you've got this Hungry Life series. Talk about that whole.
Big Sky Kitchen is my cooking show, 2 seasons on the Magnolia Network, 14 episodes. I started inviting folks into a non-scripted 2-hour cook-along where you join me. We have 8 cameras, it's full production, and yet I'll ship a cooking kit and recipes to you in your home so you can cook with me.
Is it cook-along?
It's a cook-along.
Really?
Absolutely. And
It's fun.
It's super fun. And the most engaging part is you can invite your kids and your kids can invite their buddies. You could have 30 people in your house all tapping in, tuning in, and that chat bar, we almost have to tone it down because I still want to teach. And yet that chat bar is so full of engagement from people from around the world.
We got live comments coming in.
Oh yeah.
No kidding.
There is a 9-person team that is coloring on the fly. They are audio mixing on the fly.
Wow.
There's 9 different cameras, and so if I say, hey, I want to see, hold on, let's chill the chat bar for a second. I want everyone to notice there's no more water coming out of my French fry, and that's why it's a slower pot. Let's look at this. And so I'll have a live camera come in, we'll look at it, and then Mary from San Diego will pop in and say, but wait a minute, mine's doing this or this. So then we'll get into that.
Oh, wow.
And so it is a very organic,
interactive. That's super cool.
and investable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to hear you, and you're going to have a voice. And I think if there's anything that we're missing in today's media landscape, it's representation. And so having a little more equity distributed into a live set, some could say it's risky, dicey. I think it's super interesting.
I think so too.
Yeah.
ChefEduardo.com is your website. How do people find the next step for experiential agritourism? How do people find the book? How do people find the TV show?
I believe in email marketing. I believe that if you give me your email subscription, I will only send you relevant, good material, just like I would if you were sitting in my table. And so get us your email. We'll keep in touch. We'll let you know what we're up to. And then on Instagram, Chef Eduardo Garcia, say hi.
Buddy, so great to see you.
You too, Sully. Thank you.
Welcome to town once again.
Thank you.
Eduardo Garcia. Check out his movie Charged. It tells his entire story on how we got to here. And of course, check out Big Sky Kitchen and of course, ChefEduardo.com. More Big Biz Show coming up. Stand by.
Another beautiful day inside the Loft 100 studios in Southern California. Beautiful because of two things. The Big Biz Show is on the air, and number two, you are with us. Us being Costa, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
There you go. Tater Trio today. Good to see you, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Have you discovered pickleball?
Oh, yeah.
Are you a pickleball fanatic?
I'm not a fanatic, but we have a portable net that we roll out into the street and play.
Oh, wow.
Once in a while.
Wow. Street pickleball. That's like street football. You got skinned knees and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Look out for the bumper.
Go to the Rambler. Greg and I played pickleball together the other day. I would argue that, so my day starts so early.
Like 3:30 or
4:30.
4? Okay.
But by the time 7 a.m. comes,
you're out.
I can take a little break.
Yeah. Of course.
So I can play pickleball almost every day. I figured out last week I played 12 hours of pickleball. I played 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday.
Get out of here.
And then I played, so there's 6, and then I played every single day, for a little over an hour in the morning at 7 o'clock.
Are you going to a residence or a club to play?
Go to a club.
Nice.
But so Greg came out, and it is addicting. And
yes, it is.
It is. Greg and I are forming a team.
Yep.
With Matt, we're going to do three. We're going to play threes instead of
3 pickles,
doubles.
6 balls.
3 pickles, 6 balls.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is also the name of a.
The name of our new gang.
You totally stole my thing.
I'm sorry. I was struggling doing the math.
I'm glad. By the way, so we have a great partnership with Taylor Guitars. Taylor Guitars named me and James, a couple of featured artists, for Taylor Guitars. Of course, an unbelievable guitar company that has everyone from Sting to Paul McCartney playing their guitars. They are doing an unbelievable charity for a group called Guitars for Vets. And what they're doing is they've teamed up with a watch company that takes remnant wood from the guitars, makes watches out of them.
Oh, love that.
And a percentage of the sales goes to guitarsforvets.org. PTSD is a big piece of our daily conversation, as you well know. And helping vets cope with PTSD is now a function of music. And I'm going to bring on Nigel Fischer. Nigel Fischer is the Director of Advancement for Guitars for Vets. What a great organization. Nigel, thanks for coming on. We had a chance to talk to the guys at Taylor once again last week on a show, and I know we got an event coming up. But talk about what you guys do, because this is really interesting when I see these videos of guys sitting in an auditorium all playing guitars, and they're all vets that were suffering PTSD. Talk about this for a bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the mission and how we're serving veterans. So this came together 17 years ago, a partnership between a guitar instructor and a Vietnam vet. And they realized that there was a lot of joy in the camaraderie of being able to play together. So we've created that community surrounding our over 150 chapters nationwide at this point, where we can share that healing power of music with veterans that may be struggling with PTSD or other invisible wounds of service.
Nigel, you served, and as always, thank you for your service, what you do for us, guarding the wall for us. You were wounded in combat. How did you deal with that when you came back?
Well, it was a variety of ways. A lot of family support from those that I served with, but I spent a lot of time outdoors. And I found that the solace of outdoors was immensely impactful, but then I needed something else to round out that healing, because as we know, the weather isn't always favorable 24 hours a day to be able to go out and enjoy activities that we love. And the guitar is that solace for me that is available 24 hours a day and really at an arm's reach. I can reach out and connect with my guitar anytime.
I think part of this, though, is it was surprising to me to think that having to deal with something as extraordinary as PTSD could be, I guess, waylaid for a minute by having to learn to play an instrument. And I don't use the word distraction because music is much more than that. But boy, you have to concentrate so hard on learning a new instrument, specifically guitar, which I've been playing since I was 8 years old. I would argue it's harder to play than piano. But I would also, every kid in the world, I would start on piano first, by the way. But long story short, talk about how that, what was the light bulb that happened when that occurred?
Yeah, it's, you know, when you pick up the guitar and you connect with it, you definitely go, as you said, to a different place due to that focus and attention. And you're utilizing a different part of your brain, of course, when you're engaging in artistic or creative types of outlets. And so it's just really this pleasant feeling when you feel a little bit of anxiety or something along those lines, and you can change that trajectory by seeking out that very positive feeling connecting with the guitar.
Yeah, I think whoever came up with it was brilliant. Talk about your upcoming event and how people can get involved.
Certainly, thank you. We've got an event October 11th. It's going to be at the University Club in San Diego.
Okay, so on for our national audience, anybody listening, let's say in Los Angeles, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, or here in San Diego, University Club's downtown San Diego. So you're doing an event. What time does that event start?
It's going to begin at 5 p.m. Doors will open for the performance at 6. Scotty Hasting will be our headlining event, and I know that you're going to be joining us as well. So we're really excited for the full lineup of events that night, but really supporting our veterans and celebrating 21 of our recent graduates from our program that night.
So you got 21 guys going to be playing a song or two. That just graduated. That's fantastic. I love that. Can I ask you this? How can people help other than just getting involved in that? Is there, you have some unmet needs, I'm assuming. It's got to come down to money because you got the guitar thing figured out. So how can people help out, and where do they go to do that?
Certainly, they can come to our website, guitarsforvets.org, and they can join us as volunteers to help support through delivering guitar lessons. And as you mentioned, of course, donations are always very welcome. We are a business, even though we are a nonprofit, because we've got to be able to support those resources needed to deliver the program long term for so many veterans that truly are grateful for everyone's support in this effort.
Nigel Fischer, Director of Advancement, Guitars for Vets. You can go to guitarsforvets.org. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Get out there and see you guys. I know the band's going to be out there playing in the background.
The Top Symphony Towers.
Well, the Day Trader Quattro is going to go out there, I think.
Love it.
Mess around. For good stuff. All right, that does it for us. We shall see you tomorrow, Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. See you in a minute.